We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team.
Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Hello and welcome to London Invite. We are here bringing you a women's division game. We have Bristol matching up against CUSB. Both teams coming in off straight from another game, so it's going to be interesting, some tired legs. My name is Rachel Douglas. I'm here with Luke Burgess. We're bringing you all the action with Ulti TV this weekend at this London Invite tournament. Luke, What's going on? What both these teams have come out straight out of another game.
Yep. There's a bit of a delay to the start of this game because I think at least the Bristol game was basically still being played as time started on this game. They just beat Spice. It was either 9-4 or 8-5 to Bristol in that game. After Spice started out with a 2-0 lead and then Bristol came back to get a convincing win in the end. And Shout just defeated Dublin's Gravity 10-8 in their previous game, which was closer than I was expecting it to be. So that's the standing so far in this women's group.
We just see two team huddles. I don't seem to be too pressed by the fact that time is already running significantly. I guess at least, you know, they start when they start, and then that's the competition starts when the players are on the field. It's very gusty here. Not sure if it will be so visible on the screens at home, but the wind's been picking up this morning. We saw that having a big impact in the 2 games that have already been played. Each team having to really make big adjustments, and where they failed to do so being brutally punished for it. Lots of discs going over the heads of players or being pushed into the ground or even sort of flying off onto other pitches. And it's only seems to be getting stronger. We've got a really strong gust behind us.
Both these teams were playing on upwind downwind pitches in the previous round, and this is a crosswind pitch. So we'll see if the players can adjust to that.
Yeah, all of those adjustments are going to be so critical. And as we sort of, if you've been listening to the other streams, you'll hear us say it time and time again. But of course, this tournament is intended as sort of a last warm-up, a last practice before both of these teams head off to Cincinnati for the World Club Championships. So being able to recognize those changes and recognize how to make those adjustments on the fly is going to be really critical. Not just, you know, how to play and practicing their systems, but also, you know, some of the bigger picture thinking and how they prepare and how they set themselves in a game. All of that needs to be practiced, and that's what they're here to do. So we have a hand in the air from Bristol's side. Shout with the disc for the pull. Disc sits nicely, collected by Roskowska. Oh. A big fake and looks for the reset. Back to Roskowska. Trying to pop it back, but unable to make that connection. Defended by Shout, and a quick pop into the goal for the score. A first break, quickly and brutally executed by Shout, and that's their first point on the board.
Yeah, suffocating defense from Shout to start this game. Bristol never looked comfortable after fielding the ball.
We've seen it so far on this field. That corner is a really difficult one to get caught in. It's very easy for the defense to put a lot of pressure and really contain them there, making them feel like, you know, they're not seeing options downfield and really feeling the effects of the wind there, perhaps making the thrower that little bit more conservative. So Shout doing an excellent job of recognizing that and just keeping the pressure high. Unfortunately, just a kind of maybe a little execution error, maybe just not quite taking on the option, taking on the right option for Bristol. But you know, it's 1-0. As we said, there's lots of adjustments that are going to need to be made going into this game. So still lots of opportunity to make those.
Yeah, we saw an early break on a short field in the last game between Bad Skid and Ranelagh, and well, I won't spoil the result, but let's say it didn't matter as much as you might think.
Seabear with the pull, and that's a deep pull. I think it goes out the sideline, and so it will be brought to the front cone. That's Lewis collecting. Lewis swings to Beeching. Beeching to Link. Link striking down the middle to number 22, Piper. Lewis with the disc. A pop back to Beeching, just happy working it through that sort of handler reset. Back to Lewis, back to Beeching. Looking at this Shout zone. Comfortable just popping it through the middle, Beeching with the disc.
Much better from Bristol at this point.
Link on that far sideline puts it up. Mud. Oh, very unfortunate. That's the volley wedge at the back of the end zone there, trying to make a play on it. I think she was very aware that she was running out of field, and unfortunately that is just another case of the wind picking it up.
Yeah, just pushed the disc a little bit too high, but close from Bristol.
Beak with the disc for Shout. In with an opportunity for another break. Sorrentini. Castellini on the disc. A low disc from Castellini, just doesn't manage to sit up in the way that she'd intended. That goes to ground, and Bristol now with sort of looking down on a short field.
Nice round break.
Yeah, breaks into the field to Beeching.
Kantorovich can't run it down though.
Yeah, Kantorovich trying to get there, but not able to cover that ground. Again, just not adjusted for the wind quite as much as necessary. Siebert puts it long. I think there was a lot of vision there. There was a lot of space out in front, but unfortunately, neither player were able to come down with that. So there's another turn, and Bristol are back with the disc. Try to squeeze it down that far sideline. Lewis looking for Beeching, but unable to make that play. So that's going to come in probably a little bit higher. That seemed to have already been fairly far out the field. Shout now with a very small field, an opportunity for the second break of the game. Sorrentini on disc, right on that front end zone line.
Wow. The wind is having an effect on this game, but CUSB Shout do come down with it, sailing over multiple Bristol defenders.
Yeah, Carla Link putting in an excellent effort to try and get up, try and take that early, and she saw exactly what was happening, and unfortunately, yeah, just with that little aid of the wind, that just pops right over their head, and the Shout players perhaps playing a bit smarter there. I don't know whether it was coincidence that they were hanging back. I would assume that at this level, at this standard, they knew that probably that disc is going to go high, and that it would come down sort of a little bit further towards the back of the end zone than perhaps Bristol were hoping. So that's 2-0. CUSB Shout have started the game with a decisive two breaks. Bristol now on the back foot, but still very much in this game. We saw some lovely offense from them in that last point, and just unable to kind of make that final pass for the score.
Yeah, both teams have had plenty of opportunities, and it's just a case of which team can adjust to the wind better, complete those passes. CUSB Shout did a great job to force some difficult passes out of Bristol in that last point. But at the start of the point, at least, Bristol did exceptionally well to work the disc down the field, and they almost scored, with this just sailing slightly too high in the back of the end zone. So we still have a game on our hands.
Big fake from Link, back to Ruskowska. Link to wedge, moving the disc quickly. Beeching sitting out wide in that far corner, and across to number 28, Natalie Oldfield. That looked like a very well executed set play.
It was perfect from Bristol.
Yeah, I think they knew what zone to expect, and Beeching and Oldfield just splitting that deep defender, really sitting out wide, and really great effort from Bristol to strike down the middle, move the disc quickly, keep the cup behind them, and then really maximise the kind of the inability of the deep defender to cover both sides. So I think that appeared like a polished and well executed offense against a zone.
Yeah, they learnt from the previous points, found the holes in the zone, and a nice throw from Beeching at the end as well. That could easily have been picked up by the wind and sent out of bounds, but nicely done.
Yeah, definitely, and not the easiest one. You know, that's sort of kind of the full width of the pitch, more or less. And as we said, these are very swirly conditions, so certainly a great way to make sure that pass was weighted well and sat well in the wind. Alice Beeching, a very experienced player, so not something that not something she has to worry about too much. I'm sure it's sort of instinct for her now, but definitely in these conditions, you always just need to make sure you have that extra bit of thought and consideration. Bristol coming out on defense for the first time this game. Durban with the disc to pull. No hand from Shout yet, just having a quick chat on the line, I guess confirming what they're going to look for on offense. Shout with the disc. Frangipang, over to Chesky. A little bit of contact, but maybe just losing our footing. Chesky with the disc, looking downfield.
Ooh, but slips through the hands.
Scazieri unable to hold on to that one. Bristol D-line get the turn. Are they able to put this in? Get a break back. Chesky poaching in the lane. Yeah, this sort of handler poach zone defense, very challenging for Bristol.
Pushing them back.
Yeah, Durban manages to get a pop off to Lily Morris. Back to Morris, moving it through that handler area. Back to Durban.
Ooh. Slap to the ground.
And a decisive, quick turn from Shout off of that Bristol turn. Just unable to hold on to it. Quick turnover, pick it up, find someone in the end zone and hit them.
Yeah, Bristol, they had that 1 point. The 1 point they've scored was some very decisive zone offense. But every other point they've played against this zone, they've really struggled. And that was another example. They were just pushed around the back, not able to find any of those holes through the zone. The point they scored, they pretty much immediately sliced the zone open with a long shot cross field. But that time, the options just weren't there. And Shout punish and convert the short field as you would expect.
Yeah, a big challenge for Bristol to kind of try and make that, to get that disc moving and make that decisive play off of a turn. That gave Shout enough time to set up their zone in a way that really kind of took away those options before they could be taken. Where we saw Bristol doing that really nicely, I believe, was off of the pull, where they were able to kind of generate momentum and move, keep the disc moving quickly before Shout were able to get set. So there is maybe a point in there around how quickly they're able to get the disc moving off some of those turns, which we've seen Shout do now twice very effectively in a short field for the score. So perhaps on offense and defense, that's an area that Bristol could be looking to see if they could make that adjustment to enable their play. And that's not going to be it. Just a miscommunication with the dump gives that disc right back to Shout. Looking upfield, Tarrison with the disc. There's a call on field. Saskia Beek with the jump in there, but there is a call on field, a travel call from the hand gestures. So disc comes back to Sorrenti. Sorrenti. All the players now just resetting back to where they were when that throw occurred, and disc comes in. Sorrenti's looking for a dump, pop down the middle. Beek with the disc.
Oof.
Sorry, the views are a bit challenging with the players on the sideline, but Shout trying to pop that disc in, just not able to come down with it. Carla Link now, looking down the whole field. Bristol with the whole field to travel. Wow. A massive swing to Beeching. who then gets a huge gainer forehand to wedge and puts it right out into space.
Oh no!
For Laurel Piper, who perhaps just had a little bit too much space and time, didn't perhaps concentrate on that catch as much as necessary, and an amazing offensive look from Bristol, and that has turned over. But Shout give it right back. That look not coming out as Siebert has intended. Lewis with the disc to Link. Oh, Link threads it through the middle. Wedge with the disc. Back to Link. Link to Beeching. Big fake down the sideline. She points, she's telling her teammates what she wants. It's not coming. A reset to Link. And then making Molly Wedge really work for it in the end zone. But Bristol come down with the score, taking the scoreline to 3-2. CUSB Shout still up, but Bristol showing that they are still very much in this game.
And their previous possession, what a possession that was, just banging the disc across the pitch, down the pitch, into the end zone. But they had to have another attempt to get the point, but they do it. That was much better offense from Bristol. They finally managed to set their players in the position that they wanted. They weren't really playing much of a disciplined stack for most of that point until towards the end, when they finally decided to stand in the middle of the pitch and give each other some space. And Carla Link with a few key IO forehand breaks to move the disc down the field.
Yeah, Carla Link is a name. If you've watched any Bristol games, you'll have heard Carla Link's name said again and again and again. She's a phenomenal handler and a general all-round player, but she's really just able to see the space on the field, and she knows what her repertoire of throws are, and she knows exactly how to execute them. So such an important ability to kind of move the disc through that tight middle channel and just find those players that many of us otherwise would find it challenging to get the disc to. But yeah, a huge impact on their offensive plays, as we just saw in that previous point. So it's a short pull from Bristol.
On the sideline though.
Shout are taking it from the sideline, and as we said, that is a challenging sideline. Easy to get caught there.
Perfectly demonstrated.
Yeah, exactly. Those into the pitch throws from that angle are really challenging. So Bristol take advantage of that turn, and that was a decisive response from Bristol there. Didn't catch the numbers, but very well played from the Bristol players.
Yeah, first break of the game for Bristol. We're back to level pegging. And it all came from that sideline pull from Bristol. If you can't get the disc to the brick mark on the pull, then going for the sideline's a good option, especially in the blustery conditions that we have now, forcing any infield throws to be upwind. And if you just play some nice tight defense on the resets, suddenly the throws become hard, the catches become hard, and you get that turnover and quickly convert from Bristol.
Absolutely. The pulls really, the sort of more strategic pulls have been really important so far today. With these gusty conditions, it can just change the whole dynamic of those sort of early options that the team on offense are looking to take. And as we saw then, yeah, that looking into the field to try and get those swings up into the wind and into the field are really challenging. So that's, they don't even manage to get one throw out. And Bristol just, as we mentioned before, perhaps earlier in the game being a little bit slow on the turnovers, but didn't hang around at all, not for a second then, and really punished Shout for that turn.
We have a game on our hands.
Oh, that pull just landing out, that's a shame. That really zipped down there and looked like that was going to be an excellent option, lower than traditionally you'd see the pulls thrown, but in these sorts of conditions you've got to get it there however you can. Frangipane went on the disc.
Violations called.
Violations called. I don't believe that's the brick mark.
There isn't really a brick mark labelled on the pitch, so
they may have found something.
it's kind of up to the players to agree where they think it is.
Yeah. Violation called. They just want to make sure that they're reset. Excellent hand signals from Devin there. Frank Van looks deep immediately. Lots of bodies under that disc as it sits up. Skazieri comes down with it. Chesky on disc. Chesky with a little pop, comfortably out to Skazieri for the score.
So good response from Shout. There was a pretty high chance of a turnover on the deep shot, but they trust each other. They came down with it, and they got the hold they needed. It's important just after you've been broken to put in a clean hold like that, just to keep that confidence and belief in the team, not let the game run away from you.
Definitely, it's a challenging, that long shot, that long look. I think that, you know, on a still day, that she would have been able to put the disc out that bit further, and that would have been into space, and that would have been great. On these windier days, you know, the question here may be, that throw is that much more challenging, so is this the right option? You know, even if all of the things are aligned, if you're not able to put that throw into space in the way that, you know, you would usually, and the way that the kind of the players, the cutters require, then perhaps that's not the right option. But it might be that she is absolutely able to do that in these conditions, and it just didn't come off on that occurrence.
Yeah.
I do think that it was a very high risk option as it ended up playing out, and all power to the Shout receivers. I think it was Skazieri who came down with it. One of the Skazieri sisters who are on this team, doing an excellent effort to secure that for their team. But yeah, quite a high risk option. Randall on the disc.
Zone again from Shout.
Yeah. Link passing it through and trying to get it to Beaching, but that just goes that little bit too far. Good effort from Link to try and save it, but unable to come down. And now Shout moving the disc on the far sideline. You've got Saskia Beek. Pagoti. Oh. Beaching with a big block. Just read that perfectly, and she's a very athletic player. She knows how to cover ground. Excellent defensive effort from Bristol, and they have the turn. Kantorowicz with the disc. Ruskowska. Randalls. Randall's looking into this wall, but doesn't fancy it, can just pop it over to Ruskowska. Back to Randalls. The Hannah's really putting in work. Just a pop that just popped that a little bit too much. Kantorowicz not able to come down with it. Shout back, seemingly moving the disc quickly again, you know, using that momentum. And a
Point
hand block. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I mean, maybe they listened in, but definitely the earlier point about Bristol perhaps being a little bit slow off the turns, whether that was offense or defense, definitely seems to have been adjusted. That was a great effort from Kantorowicz to get the block, and then didn't hang around for a second. Straight into the end zone, and her teammate obliges by picking it up and giving her a precise pass for the score.
Yeah, Shout looked a little bit trapped on that far sideline. Their resets, it seems, on that sideline are struggling a little bit. They did telegraph the around break by not really looking convincingly downfield for that upline shot, which, to be fair, the receiver never really committed to the upline before turning back, and the force stayed strong, got a hand in the way, and Bristol convert the short field turn.
That far sideline is really proving to be a challenge. Of course, being on the sideline is always a challenge, in that they know, the defense know that you don't have any options that side. You know, you have to keep it in field. Therefore, already you're being sort of funneled into a certain area. And yeah, that handler movement, if you're looking at your handler, you're really only looking either in that small slither of pitch upfield, or you're looking for the around. And Kantorowicz sort of read that play incredibly well. to get the block. A big pull that sails over the heads of Shout, giving Bristol time to get down there. There's just one pass. They're on the end zone line and their defensive pressure is on. Frangipane with the disc. Pops it to Harris. Centres back to Frangipane and back to Harris. There's a little bit of give-go between them. Over to Chesky. Chesky looking downfield.
Defensive pressure from Bristol.
A good defensive effort, but perhaps a simultaneous catch, in which case it does go back to the offense. Quickly resolved. Shout back with the disc. Just perhaps that was a little bit rushed. Number 11, Pankoti, just pushing that a little bit fast. Hadn't weighted it. Durbin with the disc. Oh, great snatch there, keeping that in play. Rodriguez.
Oh, good poach block.
A low disc to Chesky, but no worries, she picks it up comfortably into Irene Scazieri for the score. So far, I think quite an evenly matched game. What do you think, Luke?
Well, the score would certainly agree with you.
Yeah, on all evidence we have to go on, including the scoreline, would suggest an evenly matched game.
It feels like every single point could go either way so far. And it's really just about which team manages to execute. Both teams have struggled a little bit on that far sideline.
Yeah, certainly. Both teams getting blocks. You know, I think something we've seen in maybe some of the previous points was a lot of the turnovers seem to come from execution errors and overthrows or misthrows or what have you. That's certainly been an element of this game, but we are also seeing like proactive blocks, heads-up defenses and interceptions, which always just makes it that little bit more exciting for us watching, because, you know, it's not just about each team sort of having a good flow on offense and then occasionally giving it away. It really is. Everything seems to be contested. As you said, every single point feels like it could go either way. Very few sort of clean points. Everything to play for. Bristol get the disc moving quickly. Link is storming up the field, gets it every other pass, but Wedge with the disc now is having to slow things down a touch. Back to Link. Swing to this home sideline, Oldfield. Oldfield into the centre of the field, but perfectly read by Sorrenti. So that was intercepted, and now Shout with the disc. Looking downfield, Siebert.
Wow.
Massive layout bid. Just a quick discussion about whether Sorrentini was able to come up with it. Sorrenti was able to keep it up. We have a replay. Not liking what Siebert sees downfield. Puts the disc out.
Oof.
That was a very close one, but that certainly touched the turf before the catch was able to be made, and the players on field actually looking at us in the commentary booth for a final ruling on that one, I think. An excellent effort for Sorrenti, but just not quite able to get that one. Bristol with the disc, Hannah Randalls in the middle of the field. Oh, low disc from Roskowska. Link going to ground, but unable to come up with it. Shout, get the disc back. Sorrenti directing traffic. Not happy with what she's seeing downfield. Into space, that disc just goes right out into streaking space. That looked like it might come back in all the way over the heads of the Shout players, and Hannah Randall's there trying to put defensive pressure on, but actually that just was a perfect, a real throw of faith, I think. Just almost couldn't even see past her mark, but just able to put that out, trusting a nice looping throw would get the job done, and absolutely it did.
From where we were sitting, it never really looked like it was going to be a score, but Cus gone down with it anyway. It looks like the wind's going to just take it and not bring it back, but very well read.
Yeah, a lovely play there and a real kind of demonstration of trust and sort of just knowing your teammates. There were two white shirts that were kind of running into that space and just able to put that wide around her mark right into that corner and trust that they'll come down with it, and they did the job. They did the thing, and now they've got the more points. It's now 6-4. Shouter up against Bristol.
Yeah, it was a break for Shout. But as we've seen, every single point could go either way. Really all it takes is for Bristol to just get a few short field turnovers and slot them in, and could go either way.
I've played against Bristol a number of times, and I've got to say they're just a team that can never be discounted. You know, they're going to be in the game, they're going to be working hard. Whether it's the first point or the last point, they're a team that really know how to grind. And they're also a team that are excellent at firing each other up. So they're still very much in here, even though they might just be a little bit down on the scoreboard. Link opens up her massive backhand. Molly Wedge streaking deep. A comfortable, decisive score. Molly Wedge with the score there. Huge backhand throw from Carla Link, and that's a play that we've seen again and again over the seasons. Molly Wedge receiving a beautiful put from Carla Link.
Why haven't they been doing that before? It's taken them this long. But wow, what a throw from Link. Well run down by Wedge. CUSB Shout looked a little bit shocked by that play. Far too easy for Bristol.
Yeah, as you say, I think we're a bit shocked we haven't seen that earlier in the game. That's a very, it's been very successful for them over the season. You know, this Bristol squad has a huge amount of depth, but even within that, of course, there are sometimes just those sweet connections that pop up between certain players. And Molly Wedge, a hugely athletic player, and Carla Link, just a phenomenal thrower. And you just see that moment when you see her open up and you know it's going to go, and it's just a thing of beauty.
Yeah, no respect for the wind, no respect for the defense.
Outrageous. No one told her that wasn't supposed to be able to come off. Amelia Durbin with the disc pulling for Bristol. Shout back on that cursed sideline. There it is.
We've been calling them pretty consistently.
Yeah, well, if it goes on that sideline, the odds are stacked against them, I'm afraid. Perhaps it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at some point, but Bristol with the disc. Oh.
Ooh, foul on the throw, though.
Yeah. Immediate call from Chesky that immediate agreement that was certainly a foul, which can be challenging. You know, going for a foot block and hitting a hand can be a bit of a dangerous thing, but Durbin doesn't seem to be too put off by it.
Oof, good defense.
Well, I don't know if she actually realised that was coming. I think number 19, perhaps that was passed into her back. Maybe that was my angle, but Chesky with the disc. Shout now looking downfield.
Oh.
Oh, and it goes high, but great job to make sure she comes down with it. Ruth Taylor got that block there and now passes over to Lisa Hoking.
Nice catch.
Puts it high. Durbin there, but unable to come down with it. That came in quite bladey, quite fast. Durbin just unable to make that adjustment. Shout with the disc. Looking downfield. Frangipangi with the disc. Far sideline. Gets it off to Chesky. That was one of the few that have managed to come back in field and be successfully completed. Chesky looking for a dump, Frangipangi eventually gets there, but has to go to ground to do it. A high disc to Irene Scazieri.
Pick called.
Pick called on field. It looks like it will stay with Scazieri. Just a little bit of chat in the stack to confirm. to Chesky. Chesky fakes the sideline. Looking infield, looking for a reset. Back to Frangipangi. Dravorica. Frangipangi into the middle to Chesky. He puts it out into space, into that far corner of the end zone. And unfortunately, it just pops out of the receiver's hand. Perhaps a little too much sauce on that. That was quite a kind of a pinpoint option for what was essentially just a lateral cut. There was only going to be 1 point of contact there.
Yeah, it's really difficult to float discs out into space in this wind. So I don't hate the zippy choice, but it is difficult to catch. And we see Shout surrounding this vertical stack.
Yeah, back into if it's an actual zone or just a poachy look. Or number 19, Sofia Scazieri, reading that perfectly. Shout with a short field, Chesky to Frangipang.
There it is.
There's a travel called.
Or not.
I think collected and then perhaps slightly sidestepped out just to make that throw to Julia Harris a touch easier. But Bristol call that one back. Frangipangi back to Chesky, back to Frangipangi. A brutal combination, those two. Forward into the end zone, and it is Julia Harris who gets it the second time.
They got there eventually, and it is a hold for Shout. 1 point closer to half.
Bristol coming back to the sideline. They've got a big squad here this weekend, Bristol. Got a few extra players against Shout, which may be coming into this game right off of the back of having played that last slot game as well. Could have been an advantage, but at the moment I'd say the energy just feels a little bit flat from the Bristol side. And perhaps that's something that's kind of making a bit of the difference there.
Yeah, Bristol have had a few pretty cheap turnovers in these last few points that have ultimately meant that they haven't been able to claw back any of the break opportunities they've had. And Shout do seem to be playing with just that little bit more confidence.
Let's see if this Bristol O-line are able to respond. So, Shout with the pull that comes down on that far sideline. Ruskowska to Link. Quickly getting it off before any defensive pressure could be applied. To Beeching in the middle. Beeching fakes downfield, finds Wedge in the center. Wedge to Ruskowska. A pop to Carla Link. Link in the center of the field with a vertical stack. Out to Beeching, another excellent connection. Over years of playing together, those two. Ruskowska streaking down the line, doesn't get it, centers back to Link. Big fake from Link, really trying to move her mark. Randalls is there for the reset. Not seeing a lot of movement downfield and having to, just a bit of discussion there, I think. Having to move that into quite small spaces around the handlers, but not seeing many cuts downfield. Carla Link came up the line for it, but feels perhaps there was a bit of contact from her defender that may have impacted her being able to get that disc. After a quick discussion, they're calling it as a turnover, so that foul call seems to have been retracted, and it will come in here as a Shout disc.
Opportunity to take half for Shout now.
Just opens that arm right up. Wow, excellent job, number 14, Sarah Bowness, reading that perfectly.
Wow. There it is.
Can't argue with that, really. That was just all down that far sideline, which apparently if we're going in this direction, it's not as cursed. Yeah, very decisive play from Shout, able just to move it down that real tight corridor and take half. 8 points to Bristol's 5.
Yeah, decisive stuff. to end the half for Shout. They are looking like the more confident team. And Bristol need to come up with some answers now.
Yeah, Bristol's still very much in it, so it'll be interesting to see how they come out of this half-time timeout. They're taking a break, so we're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. We will be here for the second half of this women's division matchup after these messages.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team. Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Hello and welcome back to the second half of this women's division game here at London Invite. My name is Rachel Douglas. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Luke Burgess. We're watching this second half matchup between Bristol, coming from Bristol, and CUSB Shout coming from Bologna in Italy. It's been a very exciting game so far. Scoreline is 8-5 with Shout in the lead. And we're excited to see what's going to happen in the second half.
Yep, it's been a closer match than the scoreline would suggest. Both teams have had plenty of opportunities to get breaks, but Shout have just about managed to squeak a few over the line towards the end of that first half, but Bristol definitely have it within them to come back and get some breaks of their own on the board.
Yeah, it's absolutely still anyone's game. Shout obviously have kind of taken momentum in the first half, but Bristol are a team that are very able to respond. So very exciting to see how they do that in that second half. They are coming out on defense. That's Durban with a pull into the center of the field. And Bristol shirt streaking down there to get that defensive pressure on. Frankie Pangy on the disc. To Chesky. Chesky looking for a reset. Heavily marked, high pressure. Scazzieri comes down with it. Oh, sorry, Julia Harris. Pushes it upfield. Fakes upfield, looks down the line. It's floating, it's a high disc. Irene Scazzieri is able to come down, read that perhaps just better than anyone else, and positioned herself accordingly.
Yeah, it's another one of those risky roll curve backhands into the end zone at that end for Shout. I'm once again amazed that the wind didn't just pick it up and take it completely out of bounds, but well read from Shout, and they get themselves a clean hold. Bristol never really looked close to any of those passes.
Yeah, trying to run the pull down, get the pressure on, but sort of downfield, still feeling like there's not quite as much hustle perhaps as Shout are bringing on offense. And some of those slightly swirlier options that Shout are putting up, they're also coming down with them, which for Bristol is a problem. We are here with Ulti TV, of which we are bringing you all the action this weekend. We're going to have every single team at this tournament will be on this stream today, majority of which are available to watch. We have a lot of games free to watch on our YouTube channel. There will be a few games that unfortunately aren't available to everyone. Those are going to be for our people who sponsor us on our Patreon. So if you are interested in making sure that you catch all the action, ensure that you are liking and subscribing to these Ulti TV videos, and check out our Patreon. Search ulti.tv on Patreon for the price of a cup of coffee a month. You could be responsible in supporting access to free Ultimate, and then on occasions like this, you do also get the benefits of being part of our Patreon community, and you get access just a few extra bits as a special thank you. But of course, the more people we have, the more we're able to bring you for free. So if you're watching this video and you're enjoying the content, make sure that you're supporting us. It's critical if you want it to continue. Bristol with the disc. To wedge on this home sideline. Centers to Link. Link looking downfield. Looks to Randalls for a reset. Doesn't like it. Manages to find Wedge on that far sideline. Wedge opens up a massive put for a streaking deep player, but the put sits and sits and sits right into the rugby goal, which unfortunately is in fact outside the field. So
yeah, no bonus points for going through the rugby posts.
Yeah, a huge look, but unable to come down with it. Bristol perhaps trying to demonstrate there that they don't only have to worry about the big backhand from Link. There are several players on this team that have beautiful long puts. Shout in that far corner. A big put to a streaking number 22, Giovannini. Dumps off to number 4, Tramote. Oh, huge layout block from Molly Wedge. Wow. That's exactly what Bristol need to get amped up, those sort of big defensive plays that we know that they're capable of.
What a block.
Great effort. Now just taking a second. Carla Link walking up slowly, making sure everyone's nice and calm. Roskowska cutting up line. Link opens up and puts that right into the back of the end zone. Unfortunately, just not able to get there. Beaching and Kantorowicz racing to get down there, but I think that was quite a high stall count look and a lovely throw, but unfortunately not a connection. Shout back with the disc. Bonus. Oh, a bit of a swirly one into the middle of the field, but Sorrenti picks that up. Over to the far sideline. Tramote. Back to Bonus, who's looking down the sideline, managed to get that straight down. Molly wedge again. But there is a call on the throw. Perhaps some contact, it's unclear.
Molly wedge is not interested in being scored on this point.
Molly Wedges, I mean, she is a clutch player, and she's proven that time and time again for this Bristol side. She's an incredible athlete, and just really able to kind of see the space on the field on offense to make incredible cuts for kind of big passes from Link or other players. But on defense is also an absolute monster, and just able to put her body on the line and really time those bids and read the play exceptionally well.
Players still discussing, but I think we have a resolution. Disc will go back. Not sure if it's contested or not, but
yes, there's a lack of hand signals, unfortunately, so we can't explain exactly what just happened, but we can say, wow, okay, amazing catch by Nada Tramote, but unfortunately there is a stall out call, so that of course will have been a contested foul. The disc will have come in on a high stall count, and that's swirly a throw that caused a big effort from Tramote to get the disc.
Oh!
Huge throw from Ruskowska. Such a great look. Again, proving that there's so much depth on this Bristol line. Every single one of the handler set and most of the people downfield have those huge backhands. A beautiful look from Ruskowska, and of course, when you see Molly Wedge going deep,
None other.
You got to try and get it to her.
Yeah. What a point for Molly Wedge.
Yeah, Molly
Multiple blocks. Okay, one of them went back, but nonetheless.
I'll double down on it. Molly Wedge is a clutch player. She knows how to get those Ds, and she knows how to open up space on offense. She's really a huge asset for this Bristol side.
We're going to need some other players to step up for Bristol as well, though, because they are down some breaks. That was just a hold.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of a fire under Wedge in that point that you can see, making those sorts of layout bids. You have to be fired up to a certain degree, that perhaps that's what the other players need to try and embody a bit more. It's not always about, big layouts, but it's about really just making sure that your head's in the right space and that you're amped up to a sufficient level to really be competitive for your team. Bristol doing a great job of playing through their lines. The disc seems to be moving through lots of different players, but perhaps it's just that extra bit of fire that they need to find.
Far sideline again.
Far sideline. Jorakova with the disc. Goes into Chesky, into space. Chesky to Scazzieri. Back to Chesky, just moving very quickly.
Nice offense from Shout.
Yeah, Sofia Scazzieri just burning her defender, was in acres of space in the end zone. Bristol defense not really able to sort of put much challenge up to that very decisive offense.
CUSB stayed spread out, kept the disc moving, and it's incredibly difficult to play defense against a team that is moving the disc so quickly and confidently.
Anna Chesky proving there to just be, such a linchpin for Shout. The disc comes through her hands, if not every other, then every other, more or less, when she's on the field. Finding that space right in the middle, losing her cutter, making a really decisive cut to make sure that when she's coming into that underspace right in the center of the field, she is available and is free, and every single time they're able to hit her, and it really just opens up the whole offensive space and offensive looks for Shout. So such a critical player. Perhaps that's someone that Bristol need to be paying a little bit more attention to, some of these sort of linchpin players that are really critical at kind of getting the disc downfield and getting it behind the defense.
It's difficult though. These are some of the best players in Europe. And you can try and shut them down, but particularly when they're on offense, and when they're playing well, there's always going to be something. They're always going to find something.
Yeah, absolutely. But That's the pleasure that we have being here watching this matchup against matchup of the best teams in Europe. By design, this tournament is just really bringing us all the action. Beaching with the disc. High stall count now, not seeing what she wants downfield. Puts up a high pass. And Wedge comes down with it. A huge defensive pressure from a Shout player. Oh, there is a call.
Yeah, there's some discussion between two of the players in the handler space. I think Carla Link ran into... Is it Terrison? I can't see the number.
It looks to be... Is it number 14 or number 4? It's difficult to see from this angle.
Either way, there's some discussion. I don't think it really affected the play. It's number 14.
Number 14, Sarah Bonus.
So, not sure whether that affected the play because... So Carla Link went for an upline cut, ran into Boros. Both players sort of looked at each other like, was that a foul or not? Started playing on, started talking to each other. In the meantime, the rest of Bristol were too busy scoring. Yeah. So, Bristol do get the score.
I mean, Beaching did a what I think was an exceptionally high stall count throw. I did wonder when we saw that there was a stoppage if it was going to be a chat about whether it was a stall out or not, but thankfully not the case. It was a very high stall count throw right into that back corner. And again, Wedge just recognising, I think, what was happening. It definitely went over the potential foul that was occurring. So not too much impact.
Can we just talk about Wedge's one-handed catch earlier in the point? Just casual, high, one-handed grab on a disc that was thrown pretty hard, popped up in the wind, but yeah, just one-handed grab, no problem.
Yeah.
Easy game, and then gets the score. Kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
Kind of ridiculous, but these plays, these shifts, these scores are so critical for Bristol to try and get momentum back in their favour. You know, of course, they are a few points down, which, of course, if they want to win the game, they're going to need to score some more points. But it's really a question of getting the team in the right headspace and the right kind of mentality to do that, and just managing to kind of shift momentum a bit, whether that's a player like Molly Wedge getting a big layout block and some big scores, or if it's also just, you know, those decisive plays, coming down with those ones. It's really important that they're able to make those connections and go into these points thinking that these points are for them. They own these points. And that sort of defense will do it. Durban with very, very tight defense there. Chesky not able to get it.
Yeah, good stuff from Bristol there on defense.
Immediate turn for the D-line. And now in with an opportunity to score, get a break against Shout.
Zone from Shout though.
Durban with the disc. Over to Orcock. Orcock on that far sideline. Dubs to Hoking.
This is where the zone wants them.
Durban with the disc. Great swing across the field. A big put.
Ooh.
Oh, Frankie Panga doing a great job to get a hand to that and then ensuring that's down. Shout with a turn. A swirly disc, but Chesky reads it perfectly and comes in with the backup to Frankie Pangi. Looking for a reset, didn't like our options. Pops it back to number 36, Pagliani. Upfield to Chesky, lots of space. A very high swirly disc. Who's going to come down with it? Oh.
Wow.
A clean line to it, number 18, Ayden Scazzieri, but unfortunately just pops out of her hands. That was not a block, but a turn.
Could have gone either way for sure.
Orcock with the disc.
Oh.
Oh, finds some space in the middle, just slides it right through there.
Oh no.
That's a turn, that's down. Called down by Ruth Taylor.
Unfortunate for Bristol.
Big backhand from Pagliani. Over, oh, just that bit too far. Picking up with the wind. Those discs down this home sideline really are sailing, going so deep. Shout have been able to come down with a few of them, but that one was just that bit too far.
I have to feel like Shout are rushing a bit when they get the disc at this point. They've had a few shots to the end zone that were really harder than they needed to be. They've been able to work the disc somewhat comfortably through the middle with shorter passes. It's a bit strange that they're then rushing to try and score at the end zone, but their zone's doing the job so far.
Yeah, I wonder if that's, you know, tired legs after having played the game before and then into this one, or it might be tired brains there for Bristol. Just that throw went straight to ground. Very short field for Shout. Oh, Chesky doing a great job to hold on to that one. Bobbles up, comes down with it. Frankie Pangy at the back. Back to Chesky. Pop over the top. Frankie Pangy on the end zone line. Back to Chesky. Still not in. Back to Frankie Pangy in the corner. Those two are just on an absolute stormer.
Yeah, it's a nice 1-2s in that far corner. And Bristol can't keep up.
That's the Shout zone is putting a lot of pressure on the Bristol handler set, who have done an amazing job of working it through, but it does seem to be a bit of a coin flip as to whether they can really respond to it or not. And it maybe it's less a coin flip, it's more around just the nature of the turn. When it's a slow turn and they pick it up, you know, right on that back end zone line or on a sideline, the pressure is just smothering for the Bristol offense. They're not able to find anything. It's when they're actually able to get the disc moving a little bit that they're kind of able to generate that momentum. But right now, off of those dead discs, those slow turnovers, it's just killing them.
Yeah, Bristol, again, they've had opportunities. And I don't just mean they've had the disc in their hands. They've had the disc in their hands and have looked threatening. But they haven't managed to convert that into a break. So far, it's just been holds since halftime. We haven't seen a break since the last point of the first half. But it was interesting that CUSB's O-line decided to call a zone on defense at that point. They'd been playing match previously this half, but choosing to set up in a zone off of all of the turnovers in that previous point. And it proved to be pretty effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's proving to be a very effective defense against Bristol. And of course, having an O-line which can throw on different defensive looks is very important. Very short pull there, that just sat up in the wind.
Here we go.
Ruskowska picks it up, launches it deep.
Finish the point, +1. Games are now over.
Yeah, disc hung a bit too long. Cus managed to get under it.
Even Molly Wedge wasn't able to come down with that one. So the time has gone. They need to finish the point and +1. Oh, wow.
Disc was held up.
I was unclear as to whether that was going to be absolutely unplayable or she was going to be able to get there. But great effort. But that just hung in the air forever and then got away from her at the very last minute. Link downfield to Wedge, makes her go low for that one.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Big defensive bid from Casarini. Beaching on that far sideline, down to Wedge for the score.
11-8 game to 12.
11-8 game to 12.
So Bristol need 4 breaks in a row to get the win.
Yep. It's a tall order. I mean, we've seen it done in other games, other tournaments. You know, it's
bigger upsets have happened.
Yeah, we've seen some outstanding comebacks from different teams. It is a very tall order. You know, Shout are in this game. They are committed. They're really, putting a lot of themselves into this. You know, like each disc that goes up, a lot of the stuff that's going up from the CUSB offense has been kind of swirly, kind of, you know, slightly misjudged. It's not been a precise offense, but the receivers are hustling, the cutters are hustling to get down there and come down with it and retain possession. And you know, what are quite speculative looks oftentimes have come through. So, Bristol with a big job to do now. They're coming out on defense, and it's a game to 12. Scoreline currently 11-8. Shout up. So Bristol will need to get 4 points on the bounce if they want to close out this game with a win. It's a big challenge, but as we say, stranger things have happened, and they are on the sideline of death. So
Ball to the far sideline again. Good stuff from Bristol. Ooh, wow, that was closer than it had any right to be.
as usual, the sideline's the real winner, and that's a turn on the throw off the sideline. Durban with the disc. Pops forward to Taylor.
Zone again from
Oh,
Shout.
fake from Taylor that they absolutely bit on. Made space to pass back to Durban. Very scrappy movement around the disc. Bristol players cutting right in and Shout players getting right in front.
Well read.
Amazing disc to number 32.
Oh no.
Izzy Collins.
Foul call, but
Lisa Hoking calling foul on that one.
okay, it is uncontested. I must admit, in real time it looked like it was just dropped, but there was contact.
Hard to see. It's hard to see whether from the angles whether there was actually contact, but uncontested there. Hoking with the disc.
Ooh. Foul call again. Very tight defense from Shout. They've switched to match.
Yeah, uncontested foul call. So Shout recognizing that they are playing very tight. Bristol under a lot of pressure here, but with a very short field.
Oh, and a dropped clap catch.
Unfortunately, there's nothing to be called there. That just was a drop. Shout now with the possession for the game. Bristol defense very slow to set up. Frangi puts up a really high one. It's swirly. And that will be batted away by Lisa Hoking.
Never really looked threatening.
Actually, perhaps that wasn't. There might have been, I think, 32 is on a kit and she's not on the roster. So whoever you are, good defense.
This zone from Shout, putting in work.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that throw was Hoking, the number 13 shirt. Just trying to force it through the middle, but not enough space, not able to get that pass out. Shout back with the offense. That's quite a high disc.
Oof, foul call.
Yeah, not surprised to see a foul call there. That was quite a lot of contact coming into it. As you see on the replay here.
Not sure about that. You can't jump backwards into a defender and then call foul on them.
Yeah, and I think the contact seemed to happen kind of after the disc had already passed overhead, as we see now. Or maybe it might be a bit of bodying here, hard to tell.
Yeah, there might be some pushing.
Chesky goes up, but is really having to reach backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a hard one. There definitely was contact.
But who initiated it and did it affect the play is the question, and that's pretty difficult to tell from that camera angle.
I think, as you say, it did look like Chesky was jumping backwards, really having to sort of move backwards into that space. So although as offense, it's often easy to kind of read any contact as the defense moving in, you also do have a responsibility, and you don't to avoid contact, and you don't have a right to the space.
Contested fouls being signalled.
I think given how tight that was, that's probably the right way to resolve that call. I think from looking at the replay, I think perhaps that shouldn't have been a foul call, but I think that's the perspective that we have here, comfy in the commentary booth with the replay machine.
Yeah, when you can't feel the contact yourself, it's difficult. to really know.
On field, I think that's about as well as that could have been resolved.
Yeah.
So disc comes in, Shout retain possession. Moving it quickly up that far sideline to Chesky. Chesky pops it over the top.
Close.
Julia Harris.
There it is.
There it is. Dorokova with the score for the win.
Good work from Shout. They do come out on top, and I think, as I said earlier in the game, this game was going to come down to which team adjusted the win better, and it definitely looks like Shout did. Their zone putting in work in the second half, and no breaks in the second half, but CUSB did enough in the first half to take that lead and hold it all the way to the end.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the scoreline didn't really represent how close that game was, but that second half, both teams came out. Bristol with a really big job of trying to get those breaks back, and of course, when the game is as evenly matched as it is, that's a really tall order. So, a great effort there. Such a pleasure to watch. We're here all weekend. Ulti TV bringing you all the action from London Invite. Next on this field, we have Ghent versus Chevron, which is going to be an excellent game. Every single team at this tournament will be streamed today. If you aren't already, make sure that you're commenting on our videos, you're liking and you're subscribing. Ring that bell so you have the notification so you never miss any of the coverage. If you're not already a Patreon member, make sure that you're going on and you're showing your appreciation for all this outstanding coverage brought to you by Ulti TV by just making a donation of as small as £3, €3, $3, $3 currency per month, and that will really, really help us to keep bringing you all the action like this weekend. So stay tuned. We have so much more, and yeah, thank you for your support. I'm Rachel Douglas here with Luke Burgess, and stay tuned for the next game.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ulti TV, the best in the world.
Become a member
and fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Ulti.tv. Game start in 1 minute.